We have Gary White. Gary has been in Santa Barbara since 1982 and has worked in the mental health social services area ever since. Currently, he works at UCSB as the director for the Disabled Students Program full-time. He also has a small private practice as a licensed marriage and family therapist and is an adjunct faculty member at the Pacifica Graduate Institute. He and his husband, Ron, have been together for 30 years. As of May or June, as of May or June, depending on who tells the story. They live on the west side with their cat, Rosie Maxine, and I just have to say, this is one of the good guys. Please welcome Gary White.
Well, I think I want to, is this working? Honored to be with these extraordinary people and all that you've done and how you are so comfortable in your skin, because that's something that has been really what I've been really struggling with. Well, not lately, but that's what I've aspired to as a big black gay man in a town like Santa Barbara, which is scared of big black men in general. And so it's really wonderful to hear all of you. I love hearing your stories, let me just say that. So I think what I'd like you to know about me is I'm number 6 out of 8 in my family, and I've got 3 brothers and 4 sisters. Grew up in Philadelphia, another East Coast transplant. And in looking back on my life, I think I really moved out here because I knew I had to get away from my family in order to come out. And I think that was more an internal struggle than it was something that they were saying to me, because they have been nothing but accepting. And they have loved my husband. They have loved Ron from the minute that they met him. And pretty much the first time he went back to Philadelphia, they called him instead of calling me and saying, now you're a part of the family, don't feel like you can't come back. And my sister even said, don't feel like you can't come back without Gary. And so that was great. And so they were really accepting, and they pretty much got it that's who I was. I'm another one of those late bloomers. Instead of praying the gay away, I kind of butched it away. And so I was very much into sports and athletics and became this big black guy. And like you, a big black guy that was smart. And so that was really different for a lot of people. And so that really opened the doors for a lot of things. And so I came out here for an internship when I was in graduate school and just stayed and spent the time in the first probably 6 or 7 years in IV, and then have lived downtown ever since. I've had more issues around being a black man here in town than being a gay man. The first probably 10 years or so, there were a lot of stoppages and sort of the driving while black. And for a while, I really hated going to Montecito because I could never get through there without some kind of stopping. I think that stopped for me when I started going to the sheriff's office or the IV Foot Patrol when I lived in Isla Vista and saying, can I see the flyer that I'm supposed to be a suspect for? And just started reading it out loud. It's like 5'7", 170 pounds. That's how I was in 7th grade. And really saying that and just looking at it's like, is this me? And then after a while, that stopped. And so that's been a lot of what has happened. And actually, when the LA insurrection happened after the Rodney King verdicts, and I drove down to Los Angeles for something, and I got into LA County, and I was stopped because I had too much the tint on my my windows was too dark, even though you could still see through it. And as we were sitting there and the police officer was saying it's too dark, it's like, look, there are trucks that are going, you can't see anybody in there, and this is too dark. So I've had those types of things, and then that's kind of stopped too. It's as if the universe is saying, okay, you're here, that's fine. And so that's been more of my experiencing prejudice. I really think that being a larger black gay man has a lot of privilege. Being a large man has a lot of privilege. And so, people don't say stupid things to me, because if I don't smile and I lower my voice, it's like, oh no, we did something. And it's like, okay, so I like passing that way. I would never do anything, but and Sherry's laughing because we've worked together, and she knows that I've got more of a
Puppy dog.
Thank you, puppy dog. But yeah, like a puppy dog yipe instead of a bark or a growl. And yet, if I shut up, I look like I could have a real growl. And so now the stuff is kind of invisible to me, and it just doesn't bother me. It bothers Ron more than it bothers me, because we'll go into stores when we were in Hawaii last year, one of my hobbies is I love going to open houses, see how the other half lives, and I'll assume that I can afford this, when it's like, no, we can't afford any of this type of thing. But we went to an open house, and I would be asking questions, and a real estate guy would answer him. And that would happen, and then when we left, he said, did you notice that? And it's like, yeah, but you know what? I'm just going to ask him all these questions anyway. He's not going to get a sale out of us, so we're going to do this. And so I think my way of being in the world now is it's like, yeah, you can do that kind of stuff with me, but I'm still going to just bumble through. And you're not going to stop me because of your prejudice. You're going to have to deal with it, not me. And so that's how I've been. And so that's how I've been. And I like it. I'll be honest. It's like I don't care what people think. And Ron knows that I have lots of really good comebacks afterwards. And I said, oh, I should have said, but I don't. I just don't. It's like, forget you. I'm not too worried about what your assumptions are about me. I'm not that worried about it. I think something else that I'd like you to know is this thing keep going on and off? Okay. All right. Something else I think I'd like you to know about me is that another way that I've dealt with this is that I've become a pretty good teacher. And so there's a lot of research out there about identity development that I am always throwing at people when they start their stuff about, oh, well, you people, or what about this, and those kinds of stereotypes. And I love just giving them information about what they don't know, as opposed to getting upset about how that is limiting who they think I am. And it's more like, oh no, buddy, here's something you need to know about this. So go do some homework before you come talk to me about that stuff. And I like that kind of approach, because it's like there's a teachable moment that happens. And at one point I did a presentation at a professional development conference about multiple identities and what that meant, and the intersection between a person of color and a LGBT person and a woman and a trans person, and what that looks like, and how we all need to just let the labels go and understand that someone's going to be at a different level of their development throughout their lives. I mean, it changes moment to moment. And so just accept it, just accept it and deal with it. So that's been my way of trying to educate people, sometimes a little forcefully, and I lower my voice and I don't smile, and it's like, here's what you need to know, that kind of thing. But just so that there's information out there, as opposed to there's just this anger, there's just this finger pointing. It's like, give them something to chew on, as opposed to just keeping this attitude and this behavior and this idea about who they think I am based upon what they know. They don't know anything. And so let's start this dialogue. So that's it.
Amen to that. So what occurs to me as you guys have been speaking is you guys have spoken to some of the elements of some of the other isms. The sexism, women being devalued. We had some interesting videos about that, about how, what happens, there's a guy in the room and a woman in the room, who has more value? Who has more value, a straight guy or a big black gay guy? And they're passing privilege. Never thought of that, but there are these elements that allow people to pass and to get by, and then other people just get nailed. And do people have the strength? Do people have the wherewithal to go, ooh, a teachable moment, and how I love that, and it's kind of the way I am, looking for opportunities to do that, but not everybody can do that, and there's some people who really have painful experiences and really feel, they can hardly speak, let alone be around other people and have that energy coming at you. So, I love what you're saying. How do things intersect? How do we let people just be people and give people a break? Really, just give people a break.
Let people be people, but also value who they are. Mm-hmm. Value, acknowledge, and recognize that this is who you are, and that it's more that there's this difference that's out there, and a difference isn't bad. It's just a difference.
Right.
Your experience as a certain aged white male is much different than mine, and there's no value on either one. They're just different experiences, as opposed to that ranking we like to do about, well, this is more important and this is less important. So I'm not going to let someone tell me what my experience is not important. And I'm going to tell you how you're not letting me be who I am. So, I get in trouble with Ron a lot because I can't stand someone doing that, and we have discussions.
Back in the day, we used to have assertiveness training classes where everybody's going to learn how to stand up for themselves, right? I think it's time to bring that back. Let's teach people let's teach everyone to be able to stand up for yourself and say, look, so I'm different, so what? I am who I am, and I deserve to be respected.
So can we call it respectful assertiveness?
Respectful assertiveness. I'll be there. We'll teach a class together.